All right, so today we're diving deep into the life and career of Brad Pitt. You guys requested it, and we've got a pretty interesting biography here. Actually, it's aimed at English language learners, but don't let that fool you. It's packed with insights for anyone who wants to get like the full picture of this Hollywood icon.
Yeah, it's a really unique approach using his life story as like a framework for language learning. But I think what I find really fascinating is how it reveals the drive and ambition behind his success, which can sometimes be overshadowed by his, well, let's just say his captivating presence on screen.
Yeah, for sure. It's easy to just categorize him as like a pretty face, but there's so much more to uncover. So let's start at the beginning with his roots. Born in Oklahoma, raised in Missouri, a pretty traditional religious upbringing, not exactly the typical breeding ground for a Hollywood superstar.
Exactly, and I think that contrast is key to understanding his trajectory. It suggests that, his path wasn't preordained. It was forged through sheer willpower. Even in his high school years, he was active in sports and clubs, but he was drawn to performance, participating in school musicals. It's like the seeds were already planted, but they bloomed in a really unexpected way.
And then the journalism major who drops out of college.
Yeah.
Just 2 weeks before graduating to pursue acting. Oh, wow. Talk about a gutsy move. I mean, I can barely commit to finishing a crossword puzzle, let alone making a life-altering decision like that.
Yeah, it really speaks volumes about his willingness to take risks, leaving behind that conventional path, the stability of a journalism career, to chase this uncertain dream. It's not something everyone would do. And it highlights this theme that I think runs throughout his career, this relentless pursuit of his passion, no matter the obstacles.
By 1986, he lands in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And, this struggling actor story is a bit of a cliche, but with Brad Pitt, it's almost like he leaned into the absurdity of it all.
Yeah, it's true. Those early days were far from glamorous. He took on any job he could find, dressing as a chicken for a restaurant, driving limos, you name it. And those experiences, while humbling, probably gave him a grounded perspective. That served him well later on.
There's something almost endearing about picturing this future heartthrob in a giant chicken suit, just hustling to make ends meet.
It humanizes him.
Shows that he wasn't afraid to do whatever it took to survive and pursue his passion.
Absolutely, and all the while he was diligently honing his craft, taking acting lessons, going to countless auditions. He understood that talent alone wasn't enough. He needed to work hard and seize every opportunity.
And then seize the opportunity he did. 1991 rolls around and everything changes, with a small but unforgettable role in Thelma and Louise.
That's the moment he explodes onto the scene. His performance as the charismatic drifter JD captivates the audience. It's not just his looks, although those certainly don't hurt. There's this raw energy, a magnetic presence that just jumps off the screen.
It's interesting, though, that such a relatively minor role had such a seismic impact. What do you think it was about that performance that resonated so strongly?
I think it was a combination of factors. The film itself was a hit, tackling themes of female empowerment that were very timely. And within that context, Pitt's character, this charming outlaw, offered this captivating blend of danger and vulnerability. He embodied a kind of idealized masculinity that really struck a chord with audiences.
And just like that, he becomes Hollywood's newest heartthrob.
Yeah.
But as you pointed out earlier, he wasn't content to be pigeonholed. He followed Thelma and Louise with a series of roles that showcase his versatility and ambition.
Right, films like A River Runs Through It, Legends of the Fall, and even Interview with the Vampire allowed him to explore different genres, different periods, and demonstrate a range that went far beyond the handsome leading man stereotype. He was actively choosing projects that challenged him, that pushed him out of his comfort zone.
And that, I think, is what sets him apart from many actors who achieve that sudden fame. He could have easily capitalized on his heartthrob status, churning out similar roles, but he clearly had a deeper artistic drive.
Exactly, and that drive leads us to a few pivotal performances that truly solidified his reputation as a serious actor, capable of tackling complex and even disturbing characters.
So we've laid the groundwork, seen those early years of struggle and that breakout moment. Now let's delve into the roles that truly cemented his place in Hollywood history, shall we? Okay, so let's dig into those performances that really revealed the depth of Brad Pitt's talent. I'm thinking specifically about a trio of films from the mid-90s, Seven, 12 Monkeys, and Fight Club. Each one pushed him in a different direction. But they all share this intensity, this willingness to explore the darker sides of humanity.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Starting with Seven in 1995, this was a pivotal moment for him. It paired him with Morgan Freeman, another powerhouse actor, and put him under the direction of David Fincher, who's known for his visually striking and psychologically intense films.
Oh yeah, it's a film that just gets under your skin. The atmospheres, the pacing, the gruesome nature of the crimes, and within that you have Pitt playing Detective Mills, this rookie cop who's grappling with not only the case itself, but also the jaded cynicism of his partner, played by Freeman.
And that's what makes his performance so compelling. It's not just about catching the killer. It's about this internal struggle, this loss of innocence. You see him wrestle with the weight of the world, with the realization that evil exists in a way he perhaps hadn't fully grasped before.
There's a vulnerability there that's so different from his earlier roles. It's like he stripped off that heartthrob persona and allowed himself to be truly raw and exposed.
And then the very same year, he takes on a completely different kind of challenge.
Yeah.
With 12 Monkeys. This is where we see his incredible versatility on full display.
Yeah, talk about a mind-bending film. Time travel, mental illness, a dystopian future. And in the middle of it all is Pitt as Jeffrey Goins, this character who's both manic and strangely insightful. It's a performance that earned him a Golden Globe and his first Oscar nomination. And rightfully so.
Yeah, he completely transforms himself for this role. The physicality, the twitchy energy, the way he delivers these rambling monologues that somehow hint at a deeper truth. It's a risk-taking on a character like that. And he pulls it off with a brilliance that's frankly astonishing.
Yeah, it's proof that he wasn't afraid to push boundaries, to challenge audience expectations. And just a few years later, he does it again, teaming up with Fincher for Fight Club in 1999. Now, I know this is a cult classic, so I won't spoil it. But I'm curious, what's your take on this film and Pitt's role in it?
Well, Fight Club is a film that's open to interpretation, and that's part of its power. It taps into this primal, almost anarchic energy that I think exists within all of us to some degree. And Pitt, as Tyler Durden, he becomes the embodiment of that rebellion, of this rejection of societal norms.
Yeah, he's magnetic in that role.
Yeah.
There's a danger of charisma, but also a vulnerability beneath the surface. And it's interesting how the film tackles themes of masculinity, consumerism, and this search for meaning in a world that feels increasingly empty. It's no wonder it continues to resonate with audiences even decades later.
Exactly, and I think Pitt's performance is a big part of that. He captures that disillusionment, that yearning for something more, but also the danger of seeking it in destructive ways. It's a complex, layered portrayal that cemented his A-list status, and I think solidified his reputation as an actor who wasn't afraid to take risks, to go to those dark places that many others wouldn't dare to explore.
So we have these intense dramatic roles. We have this foray into action and psychological thriller territory. And it's clear he's becoming a major force in Hollywood, both in terms of his acting choices and his box office draw. But around this time, he also starts to shift gears, doesn't he? He begins to express an interest in the behind-the-scenes aspects of filmmaking.
That's right. In 2001, he co-founds Plan B Entertainment, a production company that quickly becomes a powerhouse in the industry. And this move, I think, is just as significant as any of his acting choices. It reveals a deeper desire to shape the narrative landscape, to champion stories that he believes in.
Yeah, it's like he's not content to just be a part of the story. He wants to help tell the stories themselves. And the projects they choose are fascinating. You mentioned earlier The Departed, 12 Years a Slave, and Moonlight, all Academy Award-winning films. These aren't just popcorn flicks. They're complex, challenging, and often socially conscious stories.
Exactly. There's a clear artistic vision at play here, a commitment to quality and to exploring a wide range of voices and perspectives. It's not just about commercial success, it's about making a statement, about amplifying stories that might not otherwise be told. And I think that speaks volumes about his own evolution as an artist. He's not just a performer, he's a storyteller, someone who wants to leave a lasting impact on the world of cinema.
So we've seen this evolution from struggling actor to Hollywood heartthrob, to critically acclaimed performer to producer with a sharp eye for compelling stories. It's a pretty remarkable trajectory, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. But of course, no conversation about Brad Pitt would be complete without acknowledging the elephant in the room, his personal life, which, let's face it, has been a constant source of media attention and public scrutiny.
It's true. His relationships, his marriages, they've been dissected and analyzed endlessly. And while we don't want to delve into gossip, I do think it's important to acknowledge how that intense spotlight, that constant intrusion, might have shaped his journey.
You're right. It's impossible to separate the man from the myth, so to speak. And I think his decision to move into producing, to focus on projects that align with his values, might be a way of reclaiming some control over his narrative, of focusing on the work rather than the tabloid headlines.
Yeah, it's a way of expressing himself beyond the confines of his on-screen persona.
Yeah.
And speaking of expressing himself, let's not forget his commitment to philanthropy. He's been a vocal advocate for various causes, from rebuilding New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina to supporting environmental and global health initiatives.
Exactly. He's used his platform to raise awareness, to donate funds, and to actively participate in efforts to make a positive impact on the world. And that, I think, reveals a depth of character that goes beyond the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. It shows that he's not just concerned with his own success. He wants to use his influence to contribute to a larger good.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. His early struggles, his breakthrough roles, his artistic evolution, his ventures into producing, and his personal life in the spotlight. But his story isn't over, is it? He's still pushing boundaries, taking on new challenges, and proving that he's got plenty more to offer.
You're absolutely right, and his recent Oscar win is a testament to that. Let's dive into those later chapters of his career, shall we? Because Brad Pitt, even after all these years, is still showing us that he's a force to be reckoned with.
Okay, so we're back and ready to explore these recent chapters of Brad Pitt's career. And I think it's safe to say he's kind of defying that typical Hollywood trajectory. You know, a lot of actors, after achieving a certain level of success, might just settle into a comfortable groove, stick with what works. But with Brad Pitt, it seems like he's constantly seeking new challenges, pushing himself creatively, even as he matures as an actor.
Yeah, that's a great point. He could easily just coast on his star power. But he seems genuinely driven to explore different facets of his craft, and his recent work is a testament to that. Think about his performance in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's a film that's so steeped in nostalgia, a love letter to a bygone era of Hollywood. But within that, he creates the subtly complex character, Cliff Booth, the stunt double and loyal friend to Leonardo DiCaprio's fading star.
It's the performance that earned him. Finally, his first acting Oscar, Best Supporting Actor for that role. And it felt like a culmination of sorts, a recognition not just for that particular performance, but for his entire body of work, his dedication to the craft. What did you think of his portrayal of Cliff Booth?
I thought it was incredibly nuanced. He captures that world weariness, that seen-it-all demeanor of a seasoned stuntman who's navigated the highs and lows of the industry, but there's also this underlying loyalty, this quiet strength that just shines through. It's a performance that resonates on multiple levels, and it's a testament to his ability to just inhabit a character fully, to find those subtle moments of truth that make a performance truly memorable.
Yeah, and it's interesting how he seems to be drawn to these characters who operate on the fringes of the spotlight, these unsung heroes or these enigmatic figures who observe the world from a slightly skewed perspective. And that brings us to Bullet Train, a film that took a sharp turn into action comedy territory. What was your impression of this role and his willingness to embrace like a lighter genre?
I think it speaks to his playfulness as an actor. You know, Bullet Train is a wild ride, full of absurdist humor and over-the-top action sequences. And Pitt clearly relishes the opportunity to let loose, to showcase his comedic timing, and embrace the sheer absurdity of the situation. It's a reminder that he doesn't take himself too seriously, even after all these years at the top of the game.
And that willingness to experiment, to not be afraid to poke fun at himself or try something unexpected. I think that's what keeps him relevant, keeps audiences guessing. It's like he's constantly evolving, refusing to be confined by any one image or expectation.
Exactly. He could easily settle into a comfortable niche, playing the same types of roles that have brought him success. But he seems driven by a deeper curiosity, a desire to keep challenging himself and keep audiences entertained. And that's why I believe he remains such a compelling figure in Hollywood, even after decades in the spotlight.
So we've journeyed through his early life, those breakout roles, his artistic evolution, his ventures into producing, his personal life under the microscope, and now these recent triumphs. That demonstrate his staying power and his continued growth as an actor. What do you think, looking back at this incredible trajectory? What are the key takeaways from Brad Pitt's journey?
Well, for me, it's a story about resilience, about refusing to give up on your dreams. Even when faced with rejection and uncertainty, it's about embracing challenges, constantly seeking to learn and grow. And it's about using your platform, your influence to contribute to something larger than yourself, whether that's through championing compelling stories as a producer or using your voice to advocate for important causes.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's a reminder that success isn't a destination. It's a journey marked by both triumphs and setbacks. And it's how we navigate those challenges that ultimately defines us. And as we wrap up this deep dive into the life and career of Brad Pitt, inspired by our source material's unique angle, I have a question for you, our listener. Think about it for a moment. If you were to choose one phrase, inspired by Brad Pitt's life, To describe your own aspirations, what would it be?
Would it be defy expectations, embrace the unknown, or maybe never stop evolving, whatever phrase resonates with you? Let Brad Pitt's story serve as a reminder that it's never too late to pursue your passions, to make a difference, and to leave your own unique mark on the world.
Well said. We encourage you to explore his filmography, to experience his talent firsthand, and to perhaps draw inspiration from his relentless pursuit of excellence, both on and off screen. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Brad Pitt. Until next time.